That should work. Good evening and welcome to the City of Roswell Mayor and City Council meeting of Tuesday, May 27th, 2025. I am Mayor Kurt Wilson. Would like to introduce my colleagues and council members present. Councilmember Sarah Beeson, Councilmember Christine Hall, Councilmember and Pro Tem Lee Hills, Councilmember David Johnson, Councilmember William Mortland, and Councilmember Alan Sells. At this point, I'll now turn the meeting over to our Chief Administrative Officer and City Administrator, Mr. Randy Knighton, to explain how the meeting is run. Mr. Knighton.
All right, thank you, Mayor Wilson, and good evening, everyone. In accordance with Section Chapter 3.70 of the City Code, the city shall hold regular public meetings, and the purpose of city council meetings are for the public to participate and speak on agenda items which constitutes formal decisions by the elected body. These items are listed on the published agenda, which can be accessed via the city website prior to the meeting. This is a public meeting, and some items do require a formal public hearing. An important component of city council meetings are for the mayor and council to hear directly from residents on items listed on the agenda. Residents are at the top of the organizational chart for the city of Roswell. Therefore, public comments and/or questions are essential for mayor and council to consider as they contemplate each decision. To ensure an accurate record of the meeting, we ask that everyone who would like to speak on an item please complete a comment card located at the back of the room. We ask that everyone observe the principles of mutual respect and display the appropriate demeanor during the course of the meeting this evening, which should be and is reflective of this great community. With respect to the proceedings, we ask that attention is given to the person speaking, and if it is necessary to have an independent conversation, that you exit the rear doors to the vestibule area. And we also ask that you silence any electronic devices at this time. The mayor is the presiding officer and will ensure the orderly exchange of comments, questions, and discussion leading to decisions by the elected body. We encourage everyone to visit Roswell365.com for a calendar of events. There are a number of events upcoming in the city of Roswell which promote community, physical activity, and leisure as we all make Roswell the #1 family community in America. Mayor Wilson.
Thank you so much, Mr. Knighton. At this time, I have the great privilege of asking Dory Griggs, our Roswell Fire Department chaplain, to the front for the invocation and moment of silence. Welcome, Dory. And thank you, Roswell Fire Department Chaplain Dory Griggs, as always. Thank you, Dory. At this time, I'd like to ask United States Army Master Sergeant Andy McNichol to please come forward and lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Sergeant McNichol. I'm going to ask, with your permission, for you to stay up there for the first item under the mayor's report, which is the proclamation for esteemed veteran of Roswell. Proclamation, Office of the Mayor, Master Sergeant Andy McNichol, esteemed veteran of Roswell. Whereas the city of Roswell proudly recognizes the extraordinary service and sacrifice of those who have worn the uniform of the United States Armed Forces. And whereas Master Sergeant Andy McNichol honorably served the United States Army, answering the call to duty in 1984 at the age of 18, and beginning his military journey at Fort Benning in Columbus, Georgia. And whereas throughout his distinguished Army career, Master Sergeant McNichol held numerous leadership roles, including squad leader, team leader, platoon sergeant, operations sergeant, jump master, and instructor. And whereas he completed a number of elite training programs, including Ranger School, Jump Master School, Long Range Surveillance School, and various leadership and instructor courses that contributed to his effectiveness and leadership in the field. And whereas Master Sergeant McNichol earned multiple honors and recognitions for his service, including several Army Commendation Medals, Army Achievement Medals, the Combat Infantry Badge, and the Joint Service Commendation Medal. And whereas he served on high-level assignments such as providing security for the Olympic Village during the 1996 Olympic Games, deployments to Norway and the Republic of Georgia, post 9/11 airport security at Atlanta Hartsfield-Jackson Airport, and deployment to Iraq in 2003. And whereas following his honorable retirement from the United States Army in 2005, Master Sergeant McNichol continued to pursue excellence through education, earning a Bachelor of Science in Mathematics from North Georgia College. And whereas he remains actively engaged in community service through his involvement with Bike Roswell, continuing his legacy of leadership and commitment to public service. And whereas the city of Roswell is proud to honor Master Sergeant Andy McNichol for his exemplary military service, community involvement, and lifelong dedication to the values of integrity, courage, and service. Now, therefore, I, Kurt M. Wilson, Mayor of the city of Roswell, Georgia, do hereby name Master Sergeant Andy McNichol, an esteemed veteran of Roswell, and call upon all our citizens to recognize his outstanding service to our country and to our community, and that there is no higher calling than those who serve the United States Armed Forces. Congratulations, Andy. This is for you, sir.
No.
Just have anything?
No.
Okay.
No, thank you.
All right, there's going to be pictures.
I don't want you to be here all night.
All right, well, let's get a picture.
appreciate it.
Yes, sir. We appreciate it. You and Prince? David, almost take your chair. Thank you so much, United States Army Master Sergeant Andy McNichol. Next on the mayor's report is upcoming events in the city of Roswell. Councilmember Lee Hills, Pro Tem, would you please make the announcements?
Thank you, Mayor. Yes. Want to draw your attention always to Roswell365.com. This is a centralized location online where you can find out what's coming up in the city of Roswell. You may also register your own event if you have something that you'd like to advertise to the public, if that's in the way of your HOA, a 501c3 nonprofit, a faith organization, or maybe a neighborhood garage sale, yard sale, or something of that nature. But you can register for free at Roswell365.com and put your own graphic on there, the information regarding the event, and then it'll stay up until your event has come to fruition on our calendar, and it'll drop off automatically. So I encourage you to utilize that tool. We've also got a lot of great things coming up. First of all, this Friday, May 30th, from 1 to 3 at Gracious Plenty, please join our police and fire chiefs for coffee. This is a great chance to connect with our first responders, check out some cool police and fire vehicles, and enjoy a fun afternoon with your whole family or friends. Then on Saturday, June 7th, we've got 2 incredible events lined up. The annual Cops and Cars show at Lebanon Baptist Church features a spectacular display of classic, sports, and specialty cars. It's a favorite for car lovers of all ages. That's Saturday, June 7th. And then the same day, at Barrington Hall, don't miss the Lavender Festival from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. This is an all across the grounds celebration of summer with more than 60 artists and crafts, vendors, food trucks, live entertainment, and more. It's one of Roswell's most beloved events. It's packed, so prepare to spend the afternoon there, but it's a great event, and I encourage you to check out either one of those on June 7th, or both. Then on Friday the 13th, June 13th, get ready to relax under the stars with music on the hill at City Hall. The music starts at 7 p.m. featuring Doc Rock Radio, playing all your favorite soft rock hits from the 70s. Bring a blanket or a lawn chair and enjoy a perfect Roswell evening. And every Saturday at 8 a.m., the Roswell Farmers and Artisans Market is the place to be, right here at City Hall. This is a new location this year, or should I say a new old location, and it is hopping. Strongly encourage you stop by. It's the best in North Fulton, offering fresh produce, handmade goods, and local charm. And Mayor, if you can help me remember, there's also been a relationship built with the Roswell Jams, which is a bluegrass ad hoc group that plays, I believe, at the Presbyterian Church, Roswell Pres.
Every Tuesday night at 7.
Yes, and so it's kind of like an open mic, but if you want to bring your guitar or your voice and jump in, they will be performing during the farmers market starting this weekend. I don't know the exact schedule, but I believe they'll be there this Saturday. So that's starting at 8 a.m. It's from 8 to noon every Saturday right here at City Hall. And then for details on any and all of these things, and maybe things that pop up between now and then, please check out Roswell365.com and see what else is happening in our great city. Thank you, Mayor. Back to you.
Thanks, Lee, so much, and thanks for bringing up the farmers market. It's it's popping, and great leadership, great team. Thanks so much to Christine Hall for making it happen, and to Christina DeVictor for leading it, doing a great job. And speaking of great jobs, the city of Roswell is made up of approximately 100,000 people, of which approximately 30% of those people get to have the great luxury of having the finest water system in the entire state of Georgia, I dare say maybe the Southeast. So tonight's agenda is the recognition of the Environmental Public Works Department for receiving many, many, many awards. I'm going to ask our Director of Environmental Public Works, Mr. Brian Watson, to come forward to announce the recognition. Doesn't sound like it's on.
It doesn't matter. This night's not. This is a truly incredible night that we get to do. You know, Council, Mayor, that we do our best to serve the residents of Roswell. And like you said, you know, we don't get to serve the full city of Roswell with our water utility, and I know everybody wishes that they did. But tonight is really about the water utility, and headed up by Chris Boyd, who you've seen a number of times. But this is all about his team and the different awards that his team has been able to show. So I, turn it over to him. So thank you.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. It is truly an honor to be up here today to recognize many of the staff that I have within our utility and our water professionals. This time, I'd like to introduce Jennifer Flowers with the Georgia Association of Water Professionals. She's going to be presenting several awards for the Public Works Environmental Department.
Thank you, Chris, Brian. Good evening, Mayor and Council. Thank you so much for allowing me to be here today and your time. My name is Jennifer Flowers. I'm with the Georgia Association of Water Professionals, and GWP for short. And we, if you're unfamiliar with us, we have 4,000 members who are water professionals across Georgia. And I am truly thrilled to be here to present not one, but 3 awards to these very talented individuals tonight in the city of Roswell. I have actually been honored to get to know many of the water utilities staff here at Roswell, and you should be extremely proud. They're very talented and dedicated individuals, and they keep the water flowing and really make Roswell the wonderful place that it is to live, work, and play. I know numerous people who live here within the city, and it's a truly wonderful place. The first award that I would like to present is the GAWP Public Education Award. This is the first time that Roswell has won this award. Each year, GAWP bestows the Public Education Awards to deserving utility members. And the award focuses on superior educational programming and highlighted creativity, inventiveness, and new programs implemented by utilities. So I'm excited to present the Gold Level for Education Program of Excellence Award to Ms. Liberty Gates. Congratulations. And I actually have gotten to know Liberty over this past year. She was part of the Leadership Academy, and she just really is very delightful. She's inventive and always thinking of ways to serve this community and the best way to communicate with the residents of Roswell. So y'all are very lucky to have her on your team. Congratulations again. The next award that I would like to present, so for the past 28 years, GWP has been honored to provide the Gold Award Program Excellence Awards. And this is for exceptional performance in the delivery of safe drinking water. Utilities that earn these awards are ones that have achieved full compliance for 1 year with all applicable permit requirements, the Safe Drinking Water Act, maximum contaminant levels, and this is no small feat. One small issue can actually, you would not be eligible for the award. So it takes teamwork, it takes the entire group, a dedication, it takes communication from operators, lab technicians, engineers, maintenance staff, managers, so many different people making sure that the water system is functioning the way that it should. And I will say, let's not forget you all, because as the elected officials, you ensure that they have the resources that they need to be the best that they can. So we'd like to ask Jesse Cash to come up and receive this award. And then last, but definitely not least, is the Best Operated Water Plant of the Year. And last month at our spring conference, then the City of Roswell was honored to be and awarded the Best Operated Water Plant of the Year for 0 to 4.99 billion gallons a day. And it honors the best managed and operated water facilities in Georgia. It is an extensive evaluation of their peers who come and tour the plant from 4 to 6 hours. The team comes in, answers questions, and facilities have to score at least a 90% or above to even be considered. And so it is wonderful that the City of Roswell, congratulations for receiving the Best Operated Water Plant of the Year. And if I may, there's a lot of water professionals who are here with us tonight. May I take the liberty to ask them to stand to be recognized? Thank you all so much for all that you do. And Chris, if you didn't know, is the president of the Georgia Association of Waterworks, of GAWWA this year, and he has been phenomenal for our community and water. So thank you. I'm going to turn it over to Chris.
Thank you, Jennifer. Before I leave, I do want to mention a few other things to recognize folks. So last November at the fall conference held in Jekyll Island by JWP, the distribution won their third platinum award for distribution system excellence in a row. We're going for number 4 this year.
Wow.
And then last month at the GAWP Spring Conference, there were several competitions that were held, of which city staff competed in. For our meter challenge competition, we knocked out, we were first, second, and third. And Arthur Breckville, please stand. He was our first place winner. Ahmed Shinjib was our second place winner. He couldn't be here tonight. He's working his shift at the water treatment plant, making sure the water's flowing. And Nathan Gravely came in third place. Second competition that was held at the spring conference was hydrant hysteria. Now this is a competition where teams have to put a hydrant back together. And it's teams of 2. This is the first time that Georgia has hosted this competition ever. And Kyle Brookshire, Corey Bagby, please stand. They came in third place. So I'm extremely proud of our team, our water professionals, for the jobs that they do, the skills that they have and can showcase. And I think our community is well served by them. Thank you.
Amen.
I think we need to get a photo, but one thing, the plant of the year, this is the 4th year in a row. This one, and the 5th time, they don't have to submit for this award, by the way. They actually do this because they want to do it. So just kind of think about that. These are the types of people that work for the city, and proud to be associated with them. So thank you.
Thank you, Brian. Amazing. Yeah, Chris, great leadership, great team. The water team is amazing. We are so well served as a city by this amazing group of people. Thank you for all that you do. These awards, I'm glad you get acknowledged with awards. We're so thankful to have you in our city. We're so thankful for the work you do. You just guys are amazing. And no karaoke, please, Liberty, tonight. All right? All right. And we're going to come do a picture with you guys if you'll allow us to. Congratulations. Yeah, she's amazing.
And then I figured out, like, oh, you're talking about liberty. You're talking about
Yeah,
liberty.
yeah, talking about that.
That was sweet.
Thanks, water team. You guys are awesome. Thank you.
Some good water.
Are you just recusing?
I'm just recusing.
Yeah, yeah.
Do a light jog out the door.
Yeah.
By the time I come back, you guys will be done.
Oh, you won't pull it off and recuse it?
I'll do the rest of consent.
Okay,
Rest of consent.
you're right. All right, next is the consent agenda. I'm going to quickly pull item number 4 off as a separate item to be considered because Sarah wants to recuse herself.
Thanks, sir.
Absolutely. So consider items 1, 2, 3, 5, and 6 on the consent agenda. Does council have any questions or comments regarding the consent agenda? Thank you very much. Any comments from any Roswell residents on the consent agenda? On items 1, 2, 3, 5, or 6? Welcome.
Good evening to you all. A little bit rainy, but it's okay. We're not melting. I'm looking at number 6. It's very, very vague topic. I was looking at the agenda. I couldn't find any other information. But it's a very important 2 words. It's a property tax. I didn't find in any agenda number what it is. Can you please explain to me and probably to resident what it means? What tax, when, how,
David, you feel free.
your taxes?
So this year, Fulton County, as part of their digest, is requiring every city in Fulton County to submit an estimated property tax rollback rate. We have absolutely no idea what it's going to be, but they want an estimate from each city, and so that's what this is. So it's not binding. It doesn't have really anything to do with anything other than Fulton County has requested it of every city so they can set the digest.
Okay, because I received 2 statements from the county and from Roswell that increasing the taxes according to valuation. Is this what it is?
Say that again? I didn't understand.
I received a statement from Fulton County and the city of Roswell that increasing my taxes, or basically I need to pay more than I paid for 24 than I paid in 24.
Yes, sir. That has nothing to do with the estimated property tax rollback rate.
Okay, so basically you cannot tell me numbers or something like that.
You're
For
asking
example, can you
so-
give me an example for?
Well, you know what the current M&O rate is on the property tax rate? Because I know,
Yes.
yes, sir.
Yes.
So based upon the millage rate, that's the rate that it could be. We have to estimate, will it be the same or will it go up? That's basically all Fulton County's asking for from us.
Okay. This will affect our taxes?
This is an estimate, so this is not, this is simply something for Fulton County to say, hey, we are doing an estimate on our property tax rollback rate. This has nothing to do with your formal taxation at this point.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. All right, thanks so much. Yes, ma'am? I'm sorry, and I apologize, I didn't, yes, ma'am. Come on up, Courtney. Sorry. Welcome.
Hi, good evening. My name is Courtney Rozier. I live at 540 Hembry Road.
Yes, ma'am.
I just had a quick question on, just to confirm a few things on a consent agenda number 2. Just wanted to confirm that this means there were some timing items that back in December when there was a loan that was approved for the Groveway Apartments. So I was just wondering, just to kind of get confirmation, was the loan approved? Does this mean that RHA received, or was, I think the language was closed on its closed on its phase 1 funding, and that construction will begin this summer. Just confirming that those
Yeah, so,
things are all still on track and happening.
yeah, the breadth of your questions are way outside of the item being considered on the consent agenda, but let me get you an answer or two, okay? Jeff?
Thank you, Mayor. So the item tonight is for a retaining wall associated with the address of 199 Grove Way. That does not have anything to do with the Section 108 loan. However, the 108 loan is still in process right now with the city. It has been approved by the City Council. It has not been finalized at the federal level, which we expect to happen sometime this summer.
And the project is moving forward.
Yes, sir.
Thanks so much. Courtney, did that help? Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Any other questions on the consent agenda or sorry, comments? Thanks so much. Bring it back to council. Any thoughts, comments, or questions? If not, is there a motion to, yes, ma'am? A motion to approve items 1, 2, 3, 5, and 6 on the consent agenda. Motion is made by Councilmember Beeson, seconded by Councilmember Johnson. All in favor of approving on the consent agenda items 1, 2, 3, 5, and 6, please raise your hands. Let the record show that the consent agenda passes unanimously on items 1, 2, 3, 5, and 6. We're going to consider item number 4 on the consent agenda separately, and Sarah is going to recuse herself, so we'll give her just a second. You are being timed. All right, item number 4 on the consent agenda is now under consideration in front of the council. Any comments, thoughts, or questions from council? Thank you very much. I will now bring it to any Roswell residents that have any thoughts, comments, or questions on item number 4 on the consent agenda. Yes, ma'am.
My name is Courtney Rozier. My address is 540 Hembry Road. So when I was reading through the information that was posted on the agenda, there was a revised schedule that was included and that I believe is part of the task order. And it indicated that there would be 2 public hearings and that the first hearing would be May 2025. So my question is this considered that first hearing, or will there be another revised schedule?
Yes, ma'am. We will revise the schedule.
Great, thank you.
Good question. Thank you. Thank you, Jeff. Thank you, Courtney. Any other questions or comments on item number 4 on the consent agenda? Thank you very much, Courtney. I'll bring it back to council. Any thoughts? All right. Do I have a motion on item number 4 on the consent agenda? Motion number, item number 4, a motion made by Councilmember Johnson to approve. Is there a second? Second by Councilmember Sells. All in favor of approving item number 4 on the consent agenda, please do so by raising your hands. Let the record show that the consent agenda item number 4 passes unanimously 5-0 with Sarah Beeson recusing herself. Thanks so much. All right. Next is the regular agenda, and I'm going to ask Councilmember Hall to read the very first item under this particular ordinance change or amendment.
Thank you, Mayor. Item number 1, approval of an ordinance to amend Chapter 2, Article 2.2 Personnel, Article 2.3 City Administrator, and Article 2.4 Committees and Departments of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Roswell. This is the second reading and will be presented by Dr. Panino.
I think our Chief Legal Officer and City Attorney David Davidson has to read the ordinance first, so I apologize.
Thank you, Mayor. This is an ordinance to amend Chapter 2, Article 2.2 Personnel, Article 2.3 City Administrator, Article 2.4 Committees and Departments Administration. Now therefore, the Mayor and Council of the City of Roswell, pursuant to their authority, do hereby adopt the following amendment. Chapter 2 Administration, Article 2.2 Personnel, Article 2.3 City Administrator, Article 2.4 Committees and Departments of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Roswell, Georgia is hereby amended and replaced with Exhibit A attached hereto and incorporated herein by reference, and if approved, this is the second reading.
Thank you, David Davidson. Appreciate it very much. Welcome, Senior Vice President Joe Panino, to present the item.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. So tonight is the second reading, and I'm going to forego the lengthy presentation and just give you the summary as we've gone through that presentation, both at committee and council. But you have the most recent version there in front of you. In general, the revisions modernize the language, reduce redundancies, empower staff along with the guidance of the mayor and council, and aligns with best practices in municipal government. So it clarifies the authority for operational decisions, which allows staff to move more quickly and be more nimble in response to the residents and business owners. And it also preserves the mayor and council's oversight for both policy matters and key hiring decisions. So regarding the city administrator, this proposed language authorizes the city administrator to initiate changes in the personnel manual, appoint or remove department heads, create, consolidate, combine, or dissolve city departments. Regarding executive roles, it adds the title of Chief Administrative Officer to the city administrator. It adds Chief Legal Officer designation to the city attorney. It also codifies the positions of Chief Financial Officer and Chief Operating Officer. Regarding committees and liaison roles, it removes redundant language to reflect the city charter, where council members are appointed by the mayor to oversee and report on department functions and the mayor's priorities. And there's a couple changes in consultation with the mayor and council from the first reading. I'd like to call those out. So first, in Article 2.3.4, the city administrator appoints these new C-suite positions, police chief and fire chief, with the mayor and council approval, and these positions may be removed by either. In addition, 2.3.5, the ordinance also addresses procedures for naming an acting city administrator during absences of the city administrator. So in conclusion, these changes support operational efficiency, streamline decision-making, and align Roswell's structure with surrounding communities, ensuring that we are, in fact, the #1 family community in America. So I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, Senior Vice President Joe Panino. Council, any thoughts, comments, or questions for Dr. Panino? Thank you very much. I'll ask any Roswell residents have any thoughts, comments, or questions on the item in front of us. Yes, ma'am. Courtney, welcome.
Courtney Rozier, 540 Henry Road.
Oh, Courtney, you don't have to do that, but thank you. You're so polite.
Thank you. So my question is that with the removal of major structural changes, substantive changes being removed from the ordinance, is when there are major changes or substantive changes, how is the public informed of those changes? Or would they be?
I'm sorry, Courtney, I do not mean to be ignorant on your question, but I don't understand it since it's kind of, because it's been to committee and then it's been the first reading, second reading, so that by fact, I'm thinking is sharing it with the public, so I'm a little confused.
I'm talking, yes, so under 2.2.2, the personnel manual, that the ordinance change strikes out that substantive changes to the personnel manual would come before mayor and council. And then under 2.3.4H, I think you had mentioned that, I think under the current language, if there are departments that are going to be dissolved, major structural changes such as that, and under departments that currently it would come before mayor and council. But my understanding is that with the changes to the ordinance, those types of major changes to the department structure of City Hall would no longer come before city, and so before mayor and council. And so just my observation is that that's basically how the public's informed of structural changes to how the City Hall is set up. And so I'm just wondering, like, in the future, how would the public or mayor and council be informed of substantive changes and major changes?
I think, Joe, you want to address kind of what's been going on, and I think in kind of relation to Courtney's perspective and what actually has been happening over the last 20 years and how you're looking to correct that.
So regarding the personnel manual, typically in most cities, that is an internal document that manages kind of like the day-to-day procedures of how staff operates. Things in there talk about how you might request time off, or how you may deal with employee evaluations. It's very administrative in nature, and generally most cities don't even have those manuals in the public domain. Of course, they're purview to open records requests, but it's typically not something the public is interested in because it's very administrative on how staff kind of conducts internal business. Regarding the adding and changing of departments within the city, those are currently in ordinance right now, and in fact, doesn't quite align with how we currently operate. And that's the problem with putting things like that in ordinance, where you clearly define the names of each department. For instance, in the ordinance, it says we have a Parks Department. Over time, the Parks Department has evolved from the Parks Department to Historical Affairs and Cultural Affairs. We have an HR department that we say we call it our HR department, but in fact, that's not listed in ordinance as one of our departments, so we call it a division. So that's an example of how being too restrictive and putting too much in ordinance really restricts our ability to be nimble and reorganize based on what the current needs are of the city and how to be responsive to the citizens and business owners within the city.
Thank you, Joe.
So basically, we just no longer would be informed of changes, substantive changes to department structure.
That is such a just gigantic statement out there that sounds so pejorative, and it's kind of hard to let that stand, but thank you, Courtney. Yes, ma'am, go ahead.
I guess my observation is that most of these changes have already been made and that they're coming before the public through this process. And I think people are interested in knowing how the structure, because like we have organizational charts, and I understand that there's going to be an organizational chart published, is currently being worked on, and will eventually be published and posted onto the website. So I think even just at a high level, I agree that detail, I mean, really, I do not need to know how people in the city of Roswell apply for their time off. And I'm assuming, and those are not the types of changes that are coming before the mayor and council. The ordinance indicates that they are major substantive changes, such as the addition of, sea level suite. And so I understand that if there would be changes in the removal of those types of positions, that those would come before city mayor and city council because they are now embedded within the ordinance. But when there are major changes to that organizational chart, I guess that's really that high level of how the city is operating. I do think the public is interested.
I do too.
Like to know.
Absolutely, public's interested. Couldn't agree with you more. But I think we've been pretty transparent about that for the last 2 years. I'm just, because I'm confused why there's confusion on it when we've been kind of talking about it for 2 years.
Not confusion, I'm just asking how in the future would substantive major changes be communicated to the public?
What's a substantive major change, just for clarification?
I would say right now there's no requirement that the city organizational chart, which gives that high-level review of how the city is operating from a department, structurally, and in that organizational chart, the citizens are a part of it, mayor and council are a part of it, and so I just think that I'm just asking, I'm not asking for something like the organizational changes to the organizational chart to be embedded, for the ordinance to be changed. I'm just simply asking how would in the future, if such changes that would be considered major, which I would think at a high level would be changes to that organizational chart, how would those types of changes come before the citizens who are part of that organizational chart?
Well, they're the top.
Exactly.
I mean, the residents of Roswell are the top of the organizational chart.
Exactly, and that's why I think they
And
should,
then-
that's
and
why
then-
I'm
and
asking
then-
the
and then
question on
and
how they would be
in a
informed.
representative government, right, we, the residents, elect representatives to go govern and represent us. And governing, right, includes making decisions
And the
sometimes.
public asks for have to input into those decisions that are made by our
Governing in a
representatives.
representative government means that you trust the people that you elect to go govern and make decisions for you. It doesn't mean that every single decision goes in front of the public to be publicly commented on. That's a farce. If you think that, matter of fact, I will tell you that's one of the weaknesses of the city of Roswell's government for the past 25 years, and the reason it couldn't get things done, Courtney. So I'm glad you baited me into this discussion. Is exactly because excuse me, my turn. Is exactly because the government was unable to act because it constantly asked for public comment, and it froze the elected officials into not making decisions. So, and because often these comments come up, well, if there's opposition, then the elected officials would get frozen. Representative government means that elected officials are the representatives of the people. And when you don't like them, you either re-elect them or you elect somebody else as your representatives of the people in a representative democracy. That's what we are. And so as the representatives of the people, we do get to make decisions for the fellow people that we represent. That's not an illogical thing. Everything we do, Courtney, we put out in the public. Every single thing we do, we make sure that the public knows. That doesn't mean that we ask the public, our fellow residents, on every single decision, what should we do? That would be an abdication of responsibility. That would be an abdication of leadership. And that, in my opinion, is what happened way too much in the past. So, you're right. We created a C-suite. You know why? Because I wanted to take operational decisions out of the elected officials' hands and put them in the agency's hands so they can make operational decisions on an ongoing basis, and so that elected officials, i.e. us, the people, wouldn't be involved in every single small operational decision which impacted the efficiency and the efficacy of the city's work. To me, that's logical. The other reason we created a C-suite. Why did we create a C-suite? Because we needed judicious thinking for how to strategize and align with the ongoing mission and strategy of the city rather than just simply doing all the time. And it's very easy when you're just doing all the time to get siloed in your actions. So, yes, Joe is taking the existing charter, the charter of the city, where the city has not been in alignment for many, many years, and he's correcting it. And so to answer your question is, if there's a substantive change that needs to be adjudicated through the process, it will be publicly done. But it's also giving the city administrator, the COO, the CFO, and the CLO, as the C-suite leadership of the city, it's giving them more latitude to make decisions. And the elected officials, the representatives of the people, are freely doing that. Because I believe, and saw, Courtney, with my own two eyes, elected officials way too involved in the operations of the city, which hurt the efficiency and the efficacy of running this government.
Well, I appreciate that in the questions that I asked the city, that the organizational chart will be posted. I look forward to that being posted, and that in the future, when there's changes at that level of major substantive changes, that's a way that I can identify.
It is posted though now. Isn't it posted now?
No.
It's not posted?
I've got it right here on my.
Is it? Okay, because when I asked a couple of weeks ago, I was.
If you just search City of Roswell, Georgia organizational chart, there are 3 tabs. One's administration, one is leadership team, and one is divisions, and then it has staff. But it has every single, it's all updated.
Oh, but there's not an actual, I've seen where.
Well, right there, App and Media has the photographs right here in this same search, all of them. Yeah. We've been really diligent on keeping those up to date. I know when the mayor and Will Morthland and I came in, a lot of those things in different places on the website had not been updated, before we got to work. So we're doing yeoman's work trying to keep those up to speed.
Just Councilmember Beeson.
Yeah, I wanted to respond to your question real quick. Completely understand the concern in terms of taking it out of the public purview, but to Mayor Wilson's point, these changes actually prevent it from being an overly politicized process and instead puts the hands within the city administrator, who will be called the city administrative officer, puts it more so into the actual managerial roles and keeps it internal. It also keeps us from having to be overly bureaucratic in the process because it begins to clog up the system. That said, too, I realize that your concern is major substantive changes. I know that you haven't been very detailed with what that means. Most of the departments, especially the major departments, have ordinances that guide how those departments are individually managed. So, for example, fire, police, all of them have guidances. We are required to follow those ordinances for how each of those are managed. So you wouldn't see any major sweeping changes outside of the public purview. That said as well, anything would be open to open records request. So any changes that would be made, we would be able to disclose to the public at any point in time.
Thank you.
Any other thoughts, comments, or questions from Roswell residents on this particular matter at hand? Thank you very much. I'll bring it back to council. Councilmember Sells?
Mr. Panino, a couple questions. The first is, thinking about some of these questions and what we're talking about here, I really don't know the answer to this, and I hate asking questions that I had no idea where the answer is going to take me, but I'll do it. In the past, has a change in the organization chart been something that was brought for public debate and got public feedback? Is that what the course of conduct was before?
No.
And our code currently reflects, as you say, essentially an organizational chart that has not existed for a number of years.
Yeah, and basically how we've gotten around that is the departments are outlined in some detail in ordinance. So when we wanted to add a different, let's say, function, we either call it a division or we just don't go back and update ordinance. So it's just an example of it takes too much administrative work to keep updating ordinances because, as we know, it goes through committee and then 2 readings of council just to make a minor change in an ordinance.
So we're sort of stuck between we can either ignore the ordinance like we have been doing for Lord knows however many years, or we can make the ordinance fit the way the operation runs, which is to say we've empowered the C-suite with the ability to accomplish the objectives that are set before them. And if that's a problem, then we take that up through the process that's outlined in the document that you have passed around. Is that fair? Is that a fair statement?
Absolutely
Can
correct.
you say it better than I just said it?
No, I think that's it's well said. We have a C-suite, we have a CAO, we have a bunch of talented staff that are in charge of the day-to-day operations of the city government. We don't want anything in ordinance that is going to hamstring them or make them unresponsive or slow in response to our community and the services that they expect.
Very good, thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Sells. Any other thoughts, comments, or questions from council? If not, would anybody like to Christine, would you like to make a motion?
Yes, sir. Motion to approve item number 1, approval of an ordinance to amend Chapter 2, Article 2.2 Personnel, Article 2.3 City Administrator, and Article 2.4 Committees and Departments of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Roswell. Second reading.
Would you read the slight amendment to the language as well, please, ma'am? I'll let David read it, sorry.
Thank you.
Thank you. Under section 2.3.4A, the second paragraph shall read, the police chief and fire chief shall be appointed by the city administrator, subject to the approval of mayor and council. Either position may be removed by the city administrator or by the mayor and council in accordance with applicable laws and procedures. That would be the only addition.
Thank you, David. All right, is there a motion? You agree with that motion amendment?
Mayor, sorry, stand by. 2.3.5, a section that talks about acting city administrator. Please.
So 2.3.5, the city administrator may designate in writing an individual to serve as acting city administrator during periods of temporary absence, unavailability, or incapacity. The designee shall assume all powers, responsibilities of the city administrator until the city administrator resumes duties or an alternative arrangement is made. If the city administrator is unable or unavailable to make such designation, the mayor may appoint an acting city administrator. The city council retains the authority to revoke any such any such designation and appoint an alternative by resolution.
Thank you, David. And Christine,
So motion to approve item number 1 with the amendment as stated by our Chief Legal Officer, and also to include section 2.3.5, acting city administrator, as was just read by our Chief Legal Officer. Is
so
that
noted.
correct?
Thank you,
Thank you.
Christine. So noted with the motion. And is there a second to the motion as noted by, seconded by Councilmember Sills? All understand the motion before them with the amendments? All in favor of the motion with the amendments, please raise your hands. Let the record show that the vote is 6-0 and unanimous. Thank you very much. Appreciate it very much, Joe. Thank you. All right. Let's see. It is Councilmember Hall. I've got one more item. Would you please read it?
Item number 2, approval of an ordinance to amend Chapter 3 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Roswell to permit and regulate special event facilities, to allow for wine to be brought into a special event facility under certain conditions and for other purposes. This is the first reading.
David, would you read the ordinance, please, sir?
Thank you, Mayor. This is an ordinance to amend Chapter 3 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Roswell to permit and regulate special event facilities, to allow for wine to be brought into a special event facility under certain conditions and for other purposes. Now therefore, the Mayor and Council of the City of Roswell, pursuant to their authority, do hereby adopt the following amendment, the text of which is incorporated herein by reference, and if approved, this would be the first reading.
Thank you, David. Let's see, council, any thoughts or comments on this particular ordinance? Councilmember Hills.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I'm delighted to support this. This is a Roswell resident entrepreneur who is opening up a cooking school, Taste Buds Kitchen, in the east side and East Village, and is looking to have the opportunity to teach a class and then have the participants or patrons be able to bring a bottle of wine in so that they may enjoy that with the meal that they have prepared. So I look forward to supporting an east side village, an east side of Roswell new business coming, a Roswell resident, and a great way to spend some extra time, spare time in learning to cook, having a sip, and meeting new friends.
Thank you, Lee, very much. Any other thoughts, comments, or questions from council? Be it there none, or any Roswell residents would like to address this ordinance? Thank you very much. Council, let's see, this one's in front of you, Christine. Would you like to make a motion?
Yes, sir. Motion to approve item number 2, approval of an ordinance to amend Chapter 3 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Roswell to permit and regulate special event facilities, to allow for wine to be brought into a special event facility under certain conditions and for other purposes. First reading.
Thanks, Christine. Is there a second to Christine's motion? Seconded by Councilmember Hills. All those in favor of the motion of the approval of the ordinance as read, please do so by raising your hands. Let the record show that the vote is 6-0 and approved. Thank you very much. Next on the agenda is a community development item. I'm going to ask Councilmember Worthland to read the item, please.
Yes, sir. Approval of an ordinance to amend Chapter 10 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Roswell to permit and regulate short-term rentals and other purposes. Read by Michelle Alexander, Community Development Director.
It's a first reading, right, Will?
Yes, sir. First
Thanks
reading.
very much. And David, would you read the ordinance, please, sir?
Thank you, Mayor. This is approval of an ordinance to amend Chapter 10 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Roswell to permit and regulate short-term rentals and for other purposes, text of which is incorporated herein by reference, and if approved, this is the first reading.
Thank you so much, David. Welcome, Michelle.
Good evening. Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Council. This is an ordinance that aims to add just a little bit of public safety measures and some regulation to the services of short-term rental. These are also known as Airbnb or VRBO, whereby folks have guests in their homes. So what legal read into the record establishes, one, that there's a mechanism to require those who are offering their home to guests have a inspection in order to have their business running, or to allow those services of having guests, short-term rentals. They have to have fire marshal have an inspection every year and it requires a registration. The benefit of this registration is both for safety and emergency calls, so 911, PD, fire marshal, code enforcement. We can all have a contact 24/7. If someone is away, the owner is away, this requires a contact. It's not just for public safety or 911, but also for nuisances. So the code, the regulations also add and specify abuse of the services if you have 3 violations. So it's a minimal intent to just gain some public safety features and also the nuisance component to shore that up a little bit. And I have a presentation from the committee meeting if you would like me to walk through it for the public.
I think we're good. Jeff, right? Yeah, unless there's a call from the council. The council have a call to see it? Yeah, just refer back to committee. Thank you. Quite a great discussion there at committee.
You're like, if I do say so myself.
That's right. Thank you, Michelle. Council, any thoughts, comments, or questions on the matter? Yes, ma'am. Councilmember Beeson.
Yeah, just to reiterate, if anybody wanted to see the full presentation for the impetus of this, it was in the committee for 2 weeks ago. I can't do the math in my head. Whatever, the 13th? I'm just making that date up.
That's right.
May 13th. There we go, May 13th, to give a good summary of that. It's not necessarily to get rid of short-term rentals in the city or to restrict them in any way at this point in time. It's more so to allow the city to have oversight in their operation and make sure that they are operated safely. So for example, making sure that all the windows are operable or that your smoke detectors are functional, you have a carbon monoxide detector, things that lead towards life and health of the occupants inside that facility, especially since people are currently turning a profit over it. And it's also pretty standard from other surrounding municipalities. So not setting the bar restrictively high, just making sure that we're keeping folks safe as they're coming to visit us in Roswell.
Thank you, Sarah. Yes, sir, Councilmember Sells.
Thank you, Sarah, and thank you, Mayor. There have been a lot of calls to me about this, so this is something that our HOAs and our neighborhoods are concerned about. I'm really pleased to see this brought forward. We worked hard to make sure that it took us where it needed to be. Things like the number of occupants in a single building was a call that I got frequently for houses where they'd rent out the whole house and there'd be 30, 35 people there, and there's really no accountability for that. We have no visibility to who the people are that are currently renting in Roswell, so this gives us a way to make sure we know where these places are, so we have the right code enforcement and those kinds of things. So this is a big step forward and very good.
Thank you, Alan. Any other thoughts, comments, questions from council? Very good. I'll ask any Roswell residents if they'd like to weigh in on the matter. All right, we thank you so much. Council, let's see, Will, would you like to make a motion, sir?
Mayor, if we may, I'd like to pass this to Councilmember Beeson, since she's the one that put all the hours of work in on this.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense. Sorry, Sarah, it's all yours.
Appreciate it, Councilmember Morrison. Motion to approve an ordinance to amend Chapter 10 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Roswell to permit and regulate short-term rentals and for other purposes. This is the first reading.
Thank you, Sarah. The first motion's been made by Sarah. Is there a second? Second by Councilmember Johnson. All understand the ordinance in front of you. Please do so if you approve it by raising your hands. Let the record show that the first reading passes 6-0. Thank you very much. And the last item tonight is on the Transportation Department. Councilmember David Johnson, would you read the item, please, sir?
This is a motion to approve, for approval to submit a local maintenance and improvement grant LMIG application for the 2025 Safety Action Program to the Georgia Department of Transportation. Accept the LMIG funds up to $400,000 from GDOT and a budget amendment to set up the funding upon approval. Director Littlefield is enjoying himself with some vacation, so we have Mr. Dana presenting the item.
Hello, Mayor and Council. Mark Dana, Transportation Planning Manager. So GDOT reached out to us about a month ago. They had some surplus money. They've offered us a $400,000 safety grant, which requires a 30% local match. So that'd be $120,000 from the city. We've identified some RFBs, which are the pedestrian crossing beacons that we want to put around the city. About 10 different locations. That is about it. It does require a 30% match, so it would come out of the bond for the bicycle pedestrian safety bond amount. So, any questions?
Good job, Mark. Thanks. Yeah, Council, any thoughts, comments, or questions on it? David?
I mean, I might be just a little, happy from committee, and it's just, the happiness is rolling over. But this really is a start of, we're going to slow down the cars in Roswell. And we talked about Vision Zero in committee earlier tonight. And, I mean, my goal is that no pedestrian dies ever again in Roswell. And as long as I'm an elected official, I'm going to keep pursuing that goal. And I'm excited to have a mayor and council that's on board with that. And city staff that's on board with that.
This is the first step, yeah. As you said, have a lot of things that we're going to be bringing forward to you guys in the coming months. So keep an eye out for that.
Good stuff, Mark. Thank you. Well done, David. Any thoughts, comments, or questions from council? If not, I'll ask any Roswell residents if they'd like to weigh in on this particular matter. Thank you so much. David, if not, would you like to make a motion, please, sir?
Motion for approval to submit a local and maintenance improvement grant application for the 2025 Safety Action Program to the Georgia Department of Transportation, accept the LMIG funds up to $400,000 from GDOT and a budget amendment to set up the funding upon approval.
Thank you, Councilmember Johnson. Is there a second to David Johnson's motion? Seconded by Councilmember Sells. All those in favor of the motion in hand, please do so by raising your hands. Let the record show that the motion passes unanimously. Thank you very much. Being that there are no other items on tonight's agenda, this mayor and council meeting of Tuesday, May 27th, 2025 is adjourned. Thank you so much. Have a good evening.